Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm gonna tell you everything about Endgame in Lost Ark, all the things that you can do there, how does it feel, etc. And this is quite important because Endgame is the thing that you're gonna be doing forever in that MMORPG, right? Or, well, of course in some you're just leveling alts like a madman. In Lost Ark alts are also important. I'm gonna talk about alts throughout this video as well. Before we get there, I want to say a huge thanks though to those of you who are supporting me on YouTube with the premium membership, the paid thing, this join button under the video. Because of you guys, I actually put money aside for a few months and I was able to buy one of these studio lights. I'm blind, I cannot see for shit right now, but I think everyone has it, and everyone has it for a reason. It makes me look much more beautiful for those of you who enjoy just looking at me. So huge thanks to those of you who are supporting me with this. I'm very thankful to each and every one of you. Now let's get into the end game of Lost Ark. There's a million things that you can do at end game. In Lost Ark, end game starts after you hit level 50, and the core foundation of endgame in Lost Ark is that you progress through gear. Or if you don't want to do that side of Lost Ark, you can simply do PvP all day long without worrying about gear at all. Now there's two big things in Lost Ark, as you know, PvE and PvP. Now PvE requires gear, and people who play Lost Ark for PvE content and everything in terms of PvE, their main focus and their goal in Lost Ark's endgame is to gear up one character to the max item level that is in that patch. People who only care about PvP, and I'm gonna start with PvP just to get that out of the way because it's much simpler. People who care about PvP only, they don't care about gearing up. They level up to level 50, they roll their stats correctly, which takes 5 minutes tops, and then for the rest of their years in the game, they just simply stay in front of the queuing board for PvP and PvP all day long, and that's about it. They do ranked, they do unranked. In Lost Ark there's various modes of PvP that you can do. There is 1v1v1, 2 teams of 3 battling it out in arena in 1v1 duels. This is only for unranked PvP. There's also 3v3 all at the same time in the arena, 2 teams of 3, which is a little bit more, let's say, complex than 1v1 duels, and it requires you to have also 2 others that are good enough at PvP in order to be successful in it. This is also the ranked version of Lost Ark. This is the only mode that you can play in ranked, and also this is the only mode that is played in esports Lost Ark. Did I say that correctly? Esports? I did, because Lost Ark already had in Korea their first esports tournament. Probably very soon they're gonna have their second esports tournament in a LAN scenario with real money as prizes. So those of you who are interested in esports in an MMORPG, like in the good old days of Guild Wars 2, for example, loved to watch those days and those tournaments. Also, I love to watch BlizzCon for their esports in terms of PvP. Those of you who love it, you have an opportunity in Lost Ark to be so good at PvP and do so good that you get into this esports kind of side of things. Russia, the Russian version of Lost Ark, also had already their first esports tournament, so if Korea had it and Russia had it, obviously the West is gonna have it as well. There is another mode of PvP that you can play, which is a 6-man brawl, all of them at the same time, and all of them, each of the players in their own team. Nobody plays this mode. I've played thousands of PvP matches in Lost Ark, and I've only played this mode twice just to see how it is. Cool. Besides that, there is also a mode in which you can set up your own type of game, and then you join in with your friends and you play versus another team that you give the password to and your game ID, and then they join you right in your mode, and then you duke it off so you can practice strats, practice skills, practice group comps, etc. So it's kind of a player-made modes are available in Lost Ark as well. Now besides that, Lost Ark, I can safely say that Lost Ark does not have any open world PvP to its end game. There is some open world PvP in air quotes on some islands, but they are just events on an occasional basis. Lost Ark also has Gvg Pvp, which is an 8-man 8 versus 8 fight where you fight with your guildies versus other guildies to conquer very nice glory, and also super cool rewards, yeah, from Gvg Pvp. PvP in Lost Ark is completely equalized and balanced. You don't need to worry about gear at all there, or extra things, or pots. Pots are not allowed, foods are not allowed. Everything that is outside of the arena that you can buy with gold, with real money, we can farm, is not allowed inside PvP content. PvP gives you gear also, but it's not PvP gear like with PvP attack and PvP defense bonuses on it. And also your gear bonuses, your stats, your set bonuses do not work inside PvP. So gear from PvP is just used for people who love PvP so much that they just want to progress with their item level that way, to do PvE with it, not PvP. So it's a very rewarding system in which it rewards you with everything you need to get the gear, to enchant the gear, and to make some gold on top of it. Plus obviously the super cool fun and the glory and the cosmetic rewards if you place high in the ranked seasons, etc. So it's super nice, a very amazing system, very amazing, an amazing system overall, with one little flaw that you can only queue up for it from the board, which means you have to be next to the queuing board forever for the rest of your life as a PvP player, which sucks big time. But other than that, everything about it is simply amazing. Now let's get into the PvE side of things, where you can do raiding, you can do dungeons, very many types of dungeons, you can do sea and water content, you can do crafting and gathering. All of these things you can do after level 50. They are all considered as part of Endgame. As I've told you, Endgame in Lost Ark is chasing item levels. Some people wanna chase these item levels really fast, and they are generally the most unhappy ones. And some people take it as they go, right? They do a variety, a mix of things at Endgame. And these people are generally the happiest people at the end of the day in Lost Ark, in the bigger picture of things as patches progress, right? I'm gonna tell you why throughout the video. So, raiding is a 4-man content, unlike many other MMORPGs, all other MMORPGs, where when you hear raiding you think about 10, 20, 40 man things, right? In Lost Ark it's actually the smallest version of content and the highest skill capped version, and one that makes you a better player. I know that it sounds weird to say that PvE in an MMORPG makes you a better player, but in Lost Ark it actually does. Depending on what class you play, your fingers can become more nimble for your future game, or your supportive capabilities and your awareness becomes much better for your future MMORPG. So doing raiding in Lost Ark does make you a better player overall. So it's super cool to raid and to always challenge yourself in this content which is quite challenging. Not every single raid boss in the game is as challenging as the other one, you can imagine, but there are many raid bosses. Over half of them are quite nice, quite interesting, quite challenging. So every raid boss is unique, has unique mechanics. Not every single one has different mechanics. There are mechanics that pass on from one to the other, like telegraphs. That's a mechanic. There's many bosses with telegraphs. How they do their telegraphs, and when, and how much damage do they do, and what other side mechanics do they have. Kill some pillars, go and protect them from some balls that come, don't let the balls reach the boss. There's a million types of mechanics in raiding in Lost Ark. A super cool content, Monster Hunter style, in which you and your group members go inside a little map, a small map where there's almost no mobs and it's just you and the boss. The boss doesn't have an HP bar either, so you can't really know how much HP does it have unless you judge it by stages. Hey, now it started to do this mechanic, that means it's under 50%, etc. So super cool. For raiding you can queue up from the raiding board just as a one-man thing. You can queue up as a 3 friends willing to get a 4th as a random. How it works is that you have 3 deaths allowed per raid, so the 4th person who dies ends the whole thing for you. You get pushed out of the instance and you have to start the thing all over again. Potion usage is restricted to a specific number of potions per player per raid, so it's very important to manage your HP very well. You cannot just stand there like in other MMORPGs and hey, I'm just gonna spam pots whenever they come on cooldown. You run out of them, and they're also very expensive or very time consuming to do for yourself to craft them. So because of that, everyone needs to be on top of their game. Raiding is on a 3 per day cooldown, plus 1 extra entry with an item from the cash shop. You can do raiding after these 3 or 4 entries that reward you with the full loot. You can do raiding after that also, as much as you want. You can do raiding 24/7, but it's only gonna give you, let's say, the 10% of the loot, right, that you would normally get. So you won't really do raiding after your 4 cooldowns a day, unless of course you're the type of person that plays 10, 12, 13 hours a day. Then sure, you can do another 10 runs of raiding, yeah. And if you have a pre-made, because with randoms, with pugs, it's very, very annoying and very difficult. Another type of endgame content are dungeons. Dungeons are 2 types of dungeons, let's say, for endgame. One of them is called Chaos Dungeons, and the other one is Chilean Dungeons. I'm going to talk about Chaos first. So you queue up for them with your party or solo from the Chaos board, and they are of various tiers depending on your current item level on your gear, right? Dungeons also have, these Chaos Dungeons also have their own set of gear and mats to enchant this particular gear, and they are again same for raiding. 3 cooldowns per day plus 1 extra with an item from the cash shop. You can, same as with raiding, do as many dungeons as you want with your friends to help them out or just to play together, right? But you're not gonna get any loot. You're not even gonna get that, let's say, 10% like raiding gives you. You're not even gonna get that. You're gonna get 0 after your 3 or 4 cooldowns every day. The other type of dungeons are called Chilean Dungeons, and they are accessed through the Chilean command board. You have a choice here, and you need Chilean tickets in order to enter them. You only get 3 Chilean tickets per account per 24 hours, so you need to spend them wisely. You can either choose to spend your Chilean tickets on a dungeon that gives you gold, or on a dungeon that allows you to improve your crafting or to get materials for crafting, or you can choose to do the elite version of that gold giving dungeon, right? There is various options on this Chilean command board. The more patches come, the more types of Chilean dungeons are gonna be available, but it is something that people do on a daily basis at endgame. Now, the last big thing I want to talk about in terms of endgame is crafting and gathering. This is very important for you to make gold. This is why alts are also important, because crafting and gathering is best done in one of these Chilean dungeons that I was just talking about, which requires Chilean tickets. And if you get only 3 per account, you can imagine alts in Lost Ark are an extremely valuable resource. Luckily, Lost Ark is a free-to-play game, so you don't need to pay for different copies of Lost Ark before you make alts. So you can have 6-7 accounts as long as you have enough playtime. The beauty of Lost Ark is that if you play a lot, you get a lot. If you play a lot every day, you can even be better off than any wallet warrior, no matter how much he deposits in the cash shop. And I'm just telling you this so you know, if you play 16 hours a day and you sleep the other 8 and then you wake up, play again, you are the biggest wallet warrior just because you play. Simply because of these alts and making alts and spamming these crafting dungeons with Chilean tickets. Crafting and gathering is in the top 3 best ways of making gold in Lost Ark, and one of the other 3 ways is playing the auction house, right? Which is another thing that people do at endgame. Once they have a little bit of gold to play with, they buy items cheap and they sell them whenever it's needed more expensive. Maybe I'm gonna make another video about this particular topic later on, but just saying, crafting and gathering is also part of these 3 best ways of making gold in Lost Ark. It's very important. It's something that doesn't take a lot to level up or to max out, let's say, a profession, and because of that, people have very many alts on which they do this crafting dungeons from the Chilean board with Chilean tickets on different accounts, so they can actually get these Chilean tickets in large numbers. Yeah, crafting and gathering also supplies you with gear that you can be self-sufficient on, at least for the first 6 months of the game. This gear from crafting and gathering has not been updated in the game in the past I don't know, half a year, maybe 8 months, so there is no endgame of endgames set from crafting and gathering. You do need to do some other things in order to keep up with gear with other players. But if you're just having alt accounts and you're just using them for the crafting and gathering dungeons, those two do not require you to have any gear on your character. So because of that, crafting and gathering is very nicely and smartly made to help people who play the game a lot, because after all, MMORPGs are all about, or they should be all about, playing a lot. Whoever plays a lot should have the most. And crafting and gathering in Lost Ark is one of those systems that has been made so perfectly fine to be adapted to this old school MMORPG idea that if you play, if you craft, you have, and you're rich and you're God in Lost Ark, right? Other things that are important or that are available to be done at Lost Ark's Endgame is sea and water content. Lost Ark has a big focus on sea and water content, not as intense or not as polished, let's say, good looking as Arcade has, for example. It's all about boats and getting a better and a better boat. There are many different types of boats that serve different types of purposes because they can equip different types of sailors. There's so many sailors to choose from, and each of these sailors gives you perks on the ocean. Perks like one sailor fishes better than the other. Another sailor gives you a perk that your character does more damage to a world boss on the sea. Another sailor is very good at scuba diving and picking up treasures. So depending what boat you have and what sailors you equip, and these sailors need to be grind for, then you have different perks depending on what you like to do on the water. And it's super cool, super relaxing. The music is fantastic. The rewards are good, not exceptional. There is no gear from sea and water content, even though I would like to mention that initially when Lost Ark released, there was a 5th set of gear in the game from sea and water content, and it went actually quite far as the crafting and gathering gear went. That one's still there, but they've removed, unfortunately, the gear from the sea and water content. If they wouldn't have removed the gear, I would have said that sea and water content is as important as any other part, PvP, PvE, crafting and gathering, that I've mentioned so far. But they've removed it for their shame, in my opinion, and it's a very sad thing, because it was a set of gear that gave you bonuses and perks to do sea and water content, same as all the other gears in the game gave you bonuses and perks for that particular content. Crafting gear gives you bonuses and perks to be better at gathering, if you can imagine. A very interesting and unique system of gearing up, and you can still keep up with item levels with people and do raiding and stuff in that gear as well. So super cool. Lastly, before I go, I want to tell you that there are dailies and weeklies at Endgame in Lost Ark. 3 dailies available for the free-to-play player, 4 dailies available for the player who has a premium membership, and 5 dailies available for a player who has premium membership and buys a 5th daily from the cash shop. Now, these 3, 4, 5 dailies can be completed in 30 minutes tops. If you only have 3 dailies, or if you choose to do only 3 dailies, you can finish them in 15 minutes, absolutely no problem. In Lost Ark there is a thing as instant teleport, where you save your locations all around the map where you want, and you just click a button, you're there. And this is how people do their dailies. They save their location. Hey, this month I want to do this, this and this daily. They save these 3 locations and they pop right there in front of the NPC, do the daily in 3 minutes, deliver it, that's it. They're off to the next location. So it's very simple. There is really no problem in doing dailies, and dailies are a must to do, no matter like what you do in the game, except PvP, because then you don't care about gear. But if you do anything else in the game, you have to do your dailies, at least on one character, your main on that account. You have to do them, because otherwise you're gonna be too far behind with gear even for the next patch. So the next patch is actually gonna catch you with your pants down if you ignore the dailies also, on top of having fun and doing whatever you want. So dailies are a must to do in Lost Ark on a daily basis, but they're really easy to do, and there's like so many of them to choose from. You can, if you hate a daily because it requires you to serve cocktails to 20 guests, that's fine. You can just do a daily where you save a turtle on a daily basis, right? There's also weeklies. Weeklies are only 3 plus 1 with an item from the cash shop. That can be also purchased with gold. Of course, everything in the cash shop can be purchased with gold. And there's 4 weeklies in total. I'm not even going to get into them. There's many weeklies to choose from. They're very important as dailies to do on a weekly basis, so you can keep up with gear. That's everything about Lost Ark's Endgame. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I hope you found something in this video that maybe triggers your interest to try Lost Ark, I have my guide, my video guide linked in the description below on how to play Lost Ark in Russia, how to jump in the game with us before it comes out in the West. I wish you guys lots of love. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to those of you who support me with the paid thing. I keep looking at this and then I don't see anything, but I'm very grateful to you guys, and I'm gonna see you really soon. Take care, stay safe, and wash your hands.